Blast off with big ideas. This is rocket fuel for your brain.
Understanding Donald Trump. Okay, let's address the question of why Donald Trump frequently engages in behaviors that could be described as guilt. It's a complex issue with several contributing. Here's a breakdown of the reasons based on analysis from journalists, factors, political scientists, and psychologists. Historical precedent and rhetorical style. Long-standing pattern. Before his presidency, Trump was known for consistently distorting facts, denying events. This wasn't a new tactic. It was a consistent part of his public persona, and attacking the credibility of news outlets and individuals he perceived as critical of him. Fake news narrative. He established the fake news narrative early on, using it to discredit any reporting. This created a framework for denying verifiable facts, didn't like, regardless of its accuracy. Strategic communication and political tactics. Control the narrative. A primary goal of his communication strategy was to control the public narrative. When confronted with evidence or criticism, he often shifted blame, denied responsibility, and questioned the motives of those presenting the information. Polarization. His tactics were designed to polarize the electorate, creating division and distrust. This made it easier to dismiss opposing viewpoints and maintain a loyal base. Minimize accountability. By denying or distorting events, he avoided taking responsibility for his actions and decisions. Psychological factors. Fragile ego. Some analysts suggest that a fragile ego contributed to his defensiveness and need to maintain a sense of control, even when faced with overwhelming evidence. Need for grandiose claims. His communication style often involved exaggerating achievements and downplaying failures, which can be a characteristic of narcissistic tendencies. Lack of accountability and support from certain media. Some media enabled it. Certain media outlets, particularly Fox News, often amplified his distortions and attacks, creating a feedback loop that reinforced his behavior. Reduced accountability. The lack of robust fact-checking and criticism from some corners of the media allowed him to continue these tactics with relative impunity. Important note: it's crucial to distinguish between describing his behavior and diagnosing him. While his actions exhibit characteristics of gaslighting, a formal diagnosis requires a psychological evaluation. However, his consistent pattern of denial, distortion, and manipulation is undeniable. Impact of his communication strategy. Erosion of trust. Trump's strategy fundamentally eroded trust in institutions. The media, government agencies, scientific organizations, and even the electoral process itself. This wasn't just about disagreeing on policy. It was about delegitimizing the very foundations of a functioning democracy. Weaponization of information. He effectively weaponized information, using it not to inform the public, but to manipulate emotions, sow doubt, and distract from criticism. Shifting the burden of proof. A key tactic was consistently demanding that others prove something was not true, rather than providing evidence for his own claims. This created a situation where truth became subjective and dependent on who was making the argument. Creating alternative realities. By creating a truth separate from verifiable facts, he fostered a situation where people could believe different realities based on their political affiliation. The role of the media. Amplification. This wasn't always deliberate, but the framing. Initially, many media outlets, particularly Fox News and certain conservative publications, amplified his distortions and attacks. Selection of stories often reflected his narrative. This created space for his misinformation to spread rapidly. Lack of consistent fact-checking. There was a consistent failure to rigorously fact-check his claims, particularly early in his presidency. Shifting focus to attacks. The media often focused on attacking the source of the information rather than addressing the substance of the claims. Gradual pushback. As the scale of the misinformation became more apparent, some media outlets began to push back, but the damage had already been done. However, his scale, consistency, and the amplification of comparison to other political figures. Not unique, but elevate. While Trump's tactics were extreme, the use of misinformation, distortion, and attacks on opponents isn't unique to him. These tactics through social media and certain media outlets set him apart. Historical precedents. The speed and reach of historically political figures have used propaganda and misinformation to gain support. However, Trump's approach was characterized by a deliberate and sustained effort to undermine trust and objective truth. Social media's role. Social media dramatically amplified the impact of his tactics. Platforms like Twitter allowed misinformation to spread rapidly and directly to a massive audience, bypassing traditional media gatekeepers.
Thank you for watching. We hope that we have expanded your knowledge somewhat. It would be awesome if you would take the time to comment, like, and subscribe. Ring the bell so that we can notify you of our new videos. Have a great day. See you later.